Okay, this is T1D Talk. This is the second attempt. Becca and I tried it a couple minutes ago, and there was some distortion. Um, our voices were fading in and out. So we're going to try it again, and hopefully this works. This is Becca joining us, talking about her daughter Emma, and looks like she's already here. Hopefully this is better. You can tell me,
Okay.
Becca. Is this better?
Yeah, that's better. I switched to my
It
phone.
is
I went
better.
off the iPad. Maybe that's something with the iPad.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. It's 100%
Okay.
better. Good. I'm glad.
All right.
Yeah, this is important. I want you to be able to be heard, and it was fading in and out, so that's not good.
So I'm gonna try to get through it without crying for one.
No, take your time. You're going to. I don't know how many you've seen. It happens. I have my tissue already here. And you just take your time, and if you want to start from when we were just on a couple minutes ago,
Yeah.
you said a year before she was diagnosed.
Almost exactly a year ago to the day. Like she got a kidney infection. She spiked the fever. Her back was hurting. Took her to the doctor. Initially, they said it was a virus. Never checked her for anything. Just said it was a virus. They checked her for flu. That was it. And sent us on our way. And a couple of days went by, and she was running like 104 fever, like high. And they're like, if she gets to 105, go to the children's hospital. So I was like checking her throughout the night, and she was getting up there like 104.5, like it was high. So I took her back in.
That's interesting. They wanted you to wait till 105, but okay.
I know. I was like, I'm taking her, and I'm not leaving until they tell me what's going on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I took her. That was like Monday when I took her initially. I took her back. I think it was Wednesday. So I waited like 2 days to see if it would clear, and it didn't. I took her back, and I told the doctor, I'm not leaving here until you run a full panel on her because something's going on. She's complaining that it hurts to pee, and she's running a really high fever. And she said, okay. So she did a urine test and a finger prick and ran some blood work, and it came back with it was initially a UTI that turned into a kidney infection. And they would have to do like intravenous antibiotic in the office and then put her on a 10-day antibiotic because it was that severe. Like she was almost going towards the hospital. Like if I waited another day, we would have been in the hospital. So I just thought it was just a kidney infection. Obviously, didn't think anything past that because it cleared up.
So she got treated. She was treated for that.
She was treated for that. It cleared up. A week later, she had another fever, and it's like the kidney infection was trying to come back. They put her back on a stronger antibiotic and said it was just a kidney infection. It went away. All was fine. So I didn't think anything else about it. Then come May, we went to my niece's wedding in Tennessee. And on the way there, she spiked a random fever. And
what's the span of time between the kidney infection and
it was February when she got the kidney.
Okay.
It was like February, March, and then we went May to the wedding.
Okay.
So she spiked this fever on the way there, and I was like, we're halfway across the state line. We live in North Carolina, so we were almost Tennessee at that point. And my husband said, she just looks like she's real pale. So for some reason, he thought to get an apple juice. I don't know, at the gas station we stopped, and he got it. And within a couple out, like an hour, she perked up. It was like she was having a low blood sugar. And when I look back, that's what it seemed like she was having.
Right, knowing what you know now. Yeah.
So no more episodes other than throughout the year up until she was diagnosed last year. She before she would eat, she would say she was lightheaded. You need to eat. That's all it was. So I think it was trying to trigger for a good year before it finally just said kapow. Like everything just came to a head. But we missed all the, her symptoms didn't really get severe until probably like a month before a diagnosis, where she was taking water with her to bed. She was getting up in the middle of the night to pee, which she never did before. And I just chalked it up. She just turned 10. So I was like puberty, maybe hormones, maybe she's just growing. Didn't think anything of it. And she's always on the skinnier side. She's tall and lean. So I didn't notice that she was losing weight, but she was. Then come the end of February last year, my son came home from school and said he didn't feel well. He's a very active little boy. So when he's like laying on the couch, he doesn't feel well. So I ended up the next morning taking him to the doctor, and they tested him for flu, and he tested positive for flu A. So like
Okay.
it's inevitable we're all gonna get it. Like it's gonna take.
Yeah.
It took us one by one. It was my husband like the very next day. I was like 2 days later, and Emma was spared thus far. We're like maybe she won't get it, but we were pretty
Okay.
sick, all of us. Um, he got diagnosed on a Tuesday, and in the midst of this, my grandma is in the middle of passing. Like my dad's like any day she's gonna pass away, and she's in Pennsylvania. So he called me early Saturday morning, like 5 a.m. And I knew that was the call, but I didn't answer because I was, I had taken NyQuil. I was passed out, wasn't feeling good. I'd call him up back when I got up. When I did get up that Saturday morning, Emma said she didn't feel well. So I said, okay, she's got it now. She was running a fever of 103, like the rest of us. So sent her back to bed. So you got it. She was supposed to have a chorus recital that day. Obviously, you're not going to that.
Yeah.
So called my dad back and found out my grandma had passed away. I said, there's no way I can make that trip. We've been so sick. Like, he's like, well, just revisit it. And we haven't got arrangements yet. Just revisit in a couple of days, and then you make that decision. We understand. And I hadn't got the year before she had a kidney infection. My grandfather had passed away, and then her husband. So it's like double whammy. I couldn't go to either funeral.
Yeah.
So she was kind of just lethargic all day Saturday and laying around like we were, and nothing to be alarmed about. Come Sunday morning, she started throwing up.
Okay.
Puked twice, which my son had thrown up once, and it was after his fever broke. So I just assumed her fever had broken and she wasn't running one anymore, and that was her reaction, was throwing up. She didn't puke really the rest of the day until the afternoon, when she started drinking. Like, she was drinking a lot of water. So and she kept saying the water tastes funny. The water tastes funny. And to this day, she won't drink Dasani water. I think there's like some trigger with her with that.
Oh yeah.
She kept saying it tastes funny. But in the afternoon, when she would drink the water, she'd throw it right back up, and just kept throwing up. And we got her steady, tried to give her a little something to eat. She wasn't really interested in eating anything, and put her to bed, and she was fine. Monday, everything broke loose. Monday morning, she couldn't hold anything down, was thrown up a lot. And I remember seeing her walk across the living room, and she was just in a t-shirt and her underwear, because that's what she wears to bed. And she was walking through the living room, and I noticed how skinny she looked. She looked like a skeleton. Her eyes were sunken in. It just did not look good. But I was like, but she's sick. You look puny when you're sick. Maybe it just, my eyes playing tricks on me. She just doesn't look good. But she just could not keep anything down all day. And come the afternoon, I told my husband, I think I need to take her into the doctor. Maybe she's dehydrated or something else is going on. Because we didn't have the throwing out. We just had a fever and, just laid around kind of with the flu. It was bad, but it wasn't, we never threw up with it.
Right. Yeah.
So he got home from work about 6 o'clock, and we had dinner, and she didn't want to eat again. And I said, you got to eat something, like try to eat something. Gave her a little bit of yogurt. She puked that up. And then she started drinking water. And I tell you, her eyes, we were sitting at the dinner table eating, and my husband said, oh my God, her eyes were rolled back in the back of her head. And she was just throwing up all over the couch. Couldn't stop. And I said, something's really wrong. This is not normal. We have an after hours pediatrician that runs with our doctor's office from 5 to 8. So I'm going to run her in rather than go to the ER and sit there for hours. I'm going to run her in and see what's going on. So we got her cleaned up, and I got her in the car, and the whole time she slumped over in the back seat, obviously not feeling good.
Is she saying anything?
She just said her belly hurt. Her belly hurt, and she was really thirsty. She kept saying, I'm thirsty. I want water. So I got her over to the doctor's office, and that doctor's office is usually busy because people take their kids after work. There was not a soul in there that night, which was weird. And I get to check her in, and it was the secretary, and our doctors rotate, like in the area of the practice, there's like different doctor's offices. They rotate shifts to go do the after hours. And I didn't know this doctor. I'd never seen her before. But she said, "What's going on?" And I said, "We've all had the flu, and she's just been really sicker than any of us." And she said, "I don't think she has the flu." She said, "Is she diabetic?" I said, "No, no, she's not diabetic. We just had the flu, and I think she's dehydrated." So that's now stands out to me now. Like, she knew that something was going on with her. She said, "I'm gonna swab her for the flu, and I'm gonna swab her for strep, but I don't think it's the flu. I really think she's having a diabetic episode."
Wow.
And I wasn't processing that because I was just trying to figure out what was going on with her. So I have my chart app on my phone that when you have a test result, it automatically ping you and let you know you have a test result. So we were like a few minutes after the flu test, and it pinged me and it said it was negative. And I don't know, like, my mind, my rational thinking was like, oh, maybe it's her appendix because she's throwing up, saying her belly hurts. It's her appendix. It's a quick fix. We'll go have surgery. I would take it, not ideal, but take a couple days and she'll be better. So the doctor comes in and she says, her flu test is negative. Her strep test is negative. I really want to get a urine sample and a finger prick. I really think it's a diabetic episode. Okay. So we got this test done, and went back in the room, and we're waiting a couple minutes, and the doctor comes in and she sits down. Never a good sign. And she says, "Can you go to the hospital now?" And I said, "Yeah, why? What's going on?" And she said, "Because if you cannot, I will send an ambulance for her."
What was the
it was 438, so it wasn't as high as some of the others, but she was headed. She was very weak and couldn't hold her head up and wasn't well. She was a full-blown DKA. She had large ketones. We gave her a Zofran. They're trying to settle her stomach. She threw that right up. She's like, "Yeah, you've got to go to the hospital now." The staff was wonderful. They stayed after hours till like 8:30 to make sure we got her in the car and on our way. She said, "The doctors are waiting on you. We've told you you're coming. They're waiting."
Oh,
and luckily
that's
we live close to one of the best children's hospital in the area. So we like booked it over there. But meanwhile, my husband's texting me because I told her her flu test is negative. And I didn't want to tell him over the phone what I had just been told, that she told me she was type 1. She's a type 1 diabetic now. You're going to be at the hospital for a couple of days. And and I wasn't processing anything at this point.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely.
So meanwhile, my family is en route to Pennsylvania for the funeral of my grandma, and my mom was on the way. She was going to stop halfway, and then go the rest of the way the next day. And I called my husband when I got in the car, and I told him what was going on. He's like, "What do you mean?" He didn't believe what I was saying. He's like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" I said, "I don't know. I have to go to the hospital. I don't know." I said, "My mom," and then my mom was calling me at that point. I said, "Let me talk to my mom for a minute and fill her in." And she, immediately was like, "Are you serious? Like, diabetic? Where did that come from?" But we didn't know any type 1s in our family or anything.
Yeah, I see that.
So I'm driving at this point, and I lost all sense of direction, couldn't figure out where I was going. I said, "I have to go. I have no idea where I'm going." Even though I've been past the hospital a million times.
I can imagine. I can't imagine trying to drive that thing, because I remember when we were given a diagnosis, we were in the ER, and the endocrinologist on duty, which is Kurt Endo now, walked over to the whiteboard, and started drawing. He told us it was a pancreas and put the little dots. And I've shared this portion of her diagnosis story before, but I didn't even notice the whiteboard.
Yeah.
That he was drawing on. So I can imagine trying to drive.
I couldn't,
with all that.
I couldn't figure out where to get to the highway to get there. I was like, I just told my mom, "I have to go. I can't talk to you right now." And I'm yelling at her the whole way there, because all I thought when the doctor said this could be fatal if you waited overnight, it could have been bad. Like, luckily you brought her in. That's all I heard was fatal. So I'm yelling at her in the back seat to not go to sleep, because she was like trying to doze off.
Yeah.
And I was just yelling at her. But our children's hospital is wonderful. We got there, they were waiting for us. They valet parked my car, which was nice. I didn't have to worry about parking. Wheeled her in a wheelchair. I checked in. We waited all of 10 minutes, and they brought her back. And at that point, I guess we had been a good 45 minutes since we were told what was going on. Her blood sugar was over 500 at this point, so it was raising quickly. And but the first meter they used just read high. She said, I have to go get another meter, I'll be right back. And it was like 525 or something. And then they took us right back into a room, and then there's probably 4 nurses that rushed in and a doctor. And I couldn't even really be around her because they were surrounding her trying to get her with IVs. And I just was sitting there like, what is going on? I don't understand what's going on. Trying not to cry, sorry. And the nurse took one look at me. I guess I looked pale in my face, and she says, ma'am, do you need a bed too? So now I'm just trying to process everything.
Yeah.
So it was, it was a while till they could get her steady. She was pretty sick. And we were down at the ER for a couple hours till about 3 a.m. before they sent us up to the PICU. And we were there for about a day, and then up to the diabetic floor. So we stayed 3 days total. So.
Yeah, that's a lot in a little bit of time too, not just the diagnosis of your daughter, Emma.
Yeah.
But you were probably distracted. Y'all were run down. You had been sick. And then, she gets sick, and that's a lot. That is a lot. And your grandmother passing in the mix. And what, though, would you say the 2 weeks before, or whatever you said, you really noticed it? Now, keeping in mind, everyone in the house had the flu.
Yeah.
You said she was taking water to bed with her.
Yeah.
And getting up in the night.
She was getting up
to pee
like 2-3 times a night to pee. She was peeing a lot.
And what else? You did say that she's already
she would
tall
come
and
home
skinny,
from school and like be starving, and like would just eat like the whole kitchen, and like, but it would never be satisfied. Just kept eating. So
she was really hungry.
Yeah, for like the about 2 weeks before, she would come home and like, I'm starving, and like would raid our pantry and would eat a whole bag of Cheetos. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, her body was starving itself, I guess. Which normally the appetite goes away, which was kind of opposite for her. She had a huge appetite up until she got diagnosed.
Okay.
She lost probably 20 pounds in 2 weeks.
Wow.
When I brought her in, she weighed 62 pounds, and she was like, she's almost 5 foot tall. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and previously was like, she was almost 80 pounds. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then the vomiting and the complaining of her belly hurting, that was actually the day of the suspected diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, she was tired a lot too. Like, she would just come home from school and like just lay on the couch. Didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to play outside or anything. And I look back at her birthday. We went out to dinner, and she just looked her eyes were sunken in, and it's like, how did I not see? She was so sick. Like, my whole family sees it too. They're like, she looked bad.
When was this? What month was this?
February. Her birthday's February 5th. We went out to dinner the week after her birthday. So it was like the 15th or the middle of February. It's about 2 weeks.
Middle of February.
She was diagnosed
on the 2nd. Yeah. March 2nd. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, well, 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So you did notice the change in her physical appearance about a month before? Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, about.
Yeah, about.
She was looking skinnier and pale.
Okay.
But yeah, you did. I didn't connect the dots. I didn't know, and I wish, like, maybe like a year ago, for instance, like they pricked her. I don't know that that was it, but I know that when I look back at her labs, she had glucose in her urine, and so that was not even brought up. Like, I don't think
a year before.
Yeah, whenever she had the kidney infection. So I don't know if it wasn't high enough for them to be concerned, but there was glucose and small ketones in her urine.
How did they treat that?
That with the antibiotic that they gave her. it was they originally put her in Keflex, and then she had an allergic reaction. She broke out in hives from that. And so they put her on a like higher dose of amoxicillin. And I don't remember they gave her 2 shots, one in each leg, to stop the infection from getting worse in the office.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Her body went through a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's also been diagnosed with celiac too. So we've had a year. So she's just.
Yeah, that's a lot in a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But the symptoms and the signs, like I said, they kind of all are the same, but not. I mean, they are, but there are some variances in there. But I think we could probably all agree the main ones are. You notice that they're thirsty. They're drinking a lot more, and then they're going to the bathroom more, which I thought that it was just because I noticed it in the summer before Cassie was diagnosed, but I just thought it was like a cause and effect. Okay, well, you're going to pee more when you're drinking more.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But those two things are almost like the kickoff to it or something. It's almost like the start of what's to come, like those two symptoms early on.
And I remember asking her, Emma, why are you taking water with you to bed? Because she had never done it. She said, I don't know, I'm just thirsty. I'm just thirsty. So I said, okay. And I would wake up to her getting up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, she'd get up numerous times to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. But I didn't think that it was an issue.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah. Those two symptoms, they go together, but they're very tiny. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say? You did good. You kept me from crying. You did really good getting it out there kind of like in order. It's good to tell the story where you can picture it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, with it being just a year, it's still fresh. Like Tuesday, I cried a lot. And I did cry a lot when I was in the hospital with her. Once they got her steady and I processed everything and she fell asleep, I sat there and was just crying. And the doctor came in at that time, her endo, and said, what's wrong? And I said, is it something I did? Like I was blaming myself because maybe she ate too much Chick-fil-A. I don't know. That's what I would think. We do Chick-fil-A a lot, And she's like, absolutely not. It's just something that was going to happen. She had it in her genes and it just took something triggering it. So
yeah, that's so interesting. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anything else that you'd like to say to anyone if this gets shared and someone watches it? The 2, 3 things that you want to say. One thing,
just to if you have a gut instinct that something's off with your child, probably is right. I mean, I felt it for a good month, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together until literally it was like it was life or death.
Yeah.
I mean, we waited over. If that doctor didn't dig deeper, it could have been a whole different scenario because a lot of the pediatricians don't think to check.
No, I know. That's true. And I don't know why.
They just say it's a virus and send you home. And I feel like if you take your child in for a sick visit, they should be automatically checking for that. It could save a lot of DKAs.
For sure. It would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Well, thank you so much, Becca. How did you guys celebrate the anniversary?
She was kind of, not wanting to celebrate so much, and we didn't do a huge celebration, but we just got her a few little gifts, a new cover for her Omnipod and a shirt. And we went to this restaurant where we had our first failed. The first week that she was diagnosed, we went and I had to get my son baseball gear. He was starting baseball, and we were trying to figure out somewhere close by we could eat. And it was this Mexican restaurant that was right there by the sports store. And she wasn't yet comfortable. Obviously, it was only like 5 days since she was diagnosed, and she wasn't yet comfortable doing shots in front of people. So I told my husband to go in and get a table. I'll do it in the car. I'll check her blood and do it. So I check her blood sugar, and I read the meter upside down. It was still high. It was like 250, but I read it as like 525, and I freaked out. It was like, oh my God, Here we are again. And I called the on-call doctor who, was wonderful. Talked me through. He's like, okay, we're gonna recheck her in 15 minutes. And I checked her, and it was like 2 something. But we were on the way home, and so we didn't get to eat there. I was like, oh, I don't want to go.
Because you thought,
So we went there
right.
to eat on Tuesday. She wanted to go there. She said, let's go have that Mexican restaurant we didn't get to go to.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
great. I love that. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, this is going to go up. I'm sure you know the process by now. I just let them keep recirculating
Yeah.
to get these stories out there, and you can share it. And thank goodness you took her into the pediatrician, and wherever you find out the diagnosis, it's still like a shock.
Yeah.
You know, it is. But thank you for sharing that story and Emma's story.
Thank
and
you.
Tell her I said hello and
Yeah.
happy anniversary. And I'm glad you guys are part of the group. So
Thank
so
you.
much for, yeah, thank you.
Thanks.